Halloween Kills is the newest Michael Myers movie that is directed by David Gordon Green again. And once again, Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, is on the run with her family after the events of Halloween 2018. Studios, I hate you for doing this. Why can't we just have nice things every once in a while? But nevertheless, Jamie Lee Curtis, as Laurie Strode, thinks that she has finally defeated Michael Myers after trying to burn him alive in her house, but he manages to escape and wreak havoc along the town once again. Now, if you're a fan of the first one, you're probably gonna like this one. If you didn't like the first one, me, then I don't think you're gonna like this one at all. Now, to get some of the good things out the way first, Jamie Lee Curtis is trying really, really hard in this. Jamie Lee is by far the best actress in this movie. I think it's maybe because she's just been attached to this character for so long that she knows what she's doing. She's a great actress, and quite frankly, it's just nice seeing her on screen as this character. The Shape, Michael Myers, also really good in this movie. Probably second best to the brutality-esque, and the look of Michael Myers compared to, let's say, the Rob Zombie's version of Michael Myers. The story in those aren't really great, but, the presence of Michael Myers, the presentation as far as, the build, the absolute brutality, the evil that he portrays in his actions, that's probably the best one, in the first one at least, and this is a very close second to it. The kills in this movie, if you're a kill junkie in horror movies, you would be satisfied, I would say. There's an awesome burning house scene where he escapes, and really I wish that was the trailer, because honestly it would have been the best trailer of all time if it's just Michael Myers killing a bunch of people in front of a burning house. That would have been fantastic. But either way, if you like kills and that's what you're going for, is either creativity or just brutality, I think you're going to like it a lot. Andi Matichak is also back as Allison, who is the granddaughter of Laurie Strode, and while she doesn't have nearly as much screen time as she did in the first one, which I think is a disservice to this story, she is also pretty good in this movie. And that about does it for all the shit that I liked in this movie. Now, when it comes to critiquing Halloween in any of the movies, really, you have to understand is that the story is very basic, right? The original Halloween, there's really not a lot on the bone, story-wise. It's a man stalks teenage girls in the middle of the night and kills them, and then the one girl ends up surviving and escaping, right? That's about bare minimum of the story that you can get. But it's really the direction, how it's presented, and what it means for generations going forward is why that movie was so good. And to really keep trying to go with Michael Myers just because he's a well-known horror figure, it's just annoying at times. The story in this movie is very plotting. It's super slow. It's an hour 45 minutes and it feels like a 2.5-hour movie. And one of the big things that doesn't help that is the enormous amount of flashbacks that they have in this movie. Because if you remember, the Halloween 2018 is supposed to be a direct sequel to the original Halloween. They're wiping the slate again with all the other timelines that they did. So these two movies are supposed to be direct sequels from the original movie. And with that, they're going to have to change some things. And the way that they do that is by showing a ton of flashbacks. Now, it's fine in the first 15-ish minutes of the movie to do that, but when you keep going back to it over and over and over again, it becomes disjointed and unengaging. And that's how I feel mostly about this movie as a whole. It's very unengaging. They bring back a lot of the, past characters in this movie, like Tommy and Lindsay, the two kids that were being babysat during that night many years ago. The doctor that was in the car that was stolen by Michael Myers with Dr. Loomis in there. And that's kind of cute and all, but it's all for nothing. And it just feels like they're just trying to shove everything in there to kind of get you to care, and that's not the effect it gave for me at all. If anything, I was more annoyed by it that they actually did that. Tommy being the worst head coach possible in a horror movie, because here's the thing. yeah, he was a young kid when this happened, and like when he's looking at the news and he's seeing all this stuff and he's reminding everybody of the fateful night and like the tragic history of the town that is, Haddonfield, he always has the line "evil dies tonight," and it's so cringeworthy at times. I'm laughing a lot of the times in this movie, and as I said, he's like a head coach. He's like, he goes up to people because they start rioting with him, and he's like, all right, he's like an apex predator. He moves in silence, and when you see him, you gotta strike quick, otherwise you're done for. And I'm like, oh my god, like they thought that that was good. They thought that that was a good idea to write on paper and then execute in a movie. It's really not. Also, Judy Greer is back as the mother of Allison, Karen, and God, Judy Greer is so bad in both of these movies. I really don't know where it lies on this one, because before you could have said direction with the first movie. Maybe just the direction wasn't good enough and it really didn't bring out the best in her. But it's also directed by the same guy again, and maybe you would have thought that, I don't know, the criticisms from the first movie would have been taken to heart a little bit, because I did not find her great in this movie again. In fact, she might be worse at points. And God, this movie has a lot of just unforgivable comedy as far as like it being so cringeworthy, not on her sake all the time, but just throughout the entire movie. But also that's what makes this movie amazing in certain ways as well. The comedy in this movie unintentionally is fantastic, and they do have some good bits of comedy here and there. Most movies know how to write some decent jokes in their movie, but nevertheless the unintentional parts of it is just, my gut was hurting by the end of the movie. I was laughing so hard. And also the direction of this movie is just really bad at points. I don't really understand what happened here. The camera work is atrocious at times, or just like very lackluster and not fluent. There is a scene where there is a gay couple who is living in the old Myers house, and the dude is like dancing in his living room to like old music, and the camera is like tilted slightly and zooming outwards, and it just looks weird. There's some long shots that just like linger on something and they pan and it's all wobbly and it's not stationary and it looks very ugly. I don't know what happened there. That was just a really, really unfortunate thing that happened on set, it looks like, because I was just like, oh no, that was not probably their best foot forward. And if it was, yikes. And unfortunately, the worst part about this movie that I can say is that they're making a third one. And really, I can't understand why they would. I mean, I know it's in a contract, but I mean, like, I wish they would have just ended it here. Or last time even. I really wish they would have ended it then, because really, I don't know where you go from here. The story I thought was going to be left ambiguous at times, and then it turns out there is a definitive ending to this leading to the next one. But man, I was just like, wow, they're going to do a third one, and who knows what's going to happen in that. And I'm not really sure I'm for it. And to be quite honest, I think this franchise just needs to stop at this point. There's really nothing more that the series can say. I don't care that it's a generational thing, that like some people like have had, Friday the 13th, had its original way back when, and then they did a remake, and people have their opinions on that. And even Nightmare on Elm Street is a worse example of, remaking a movie, because it's just a namesake, and the original exceeds the remake in so many aspects. And I feel like it's time to be done with Halloween. Let it rest. Let Michael Myers be, just a legend at this point. Like, let him live on through the good movies and the reasons why we cared about him in the first place, rather than dragging his name through the mud by trying to rehash a lot of things, because Jamie Lee Curtis ain't getting any younger, and I don't think anybody else is going to have any interest in some of these movies because the name is just Michael Myers. Some of them may do, some of them may don't. I'm going to give Halloween Kills 1.5 stars. Thank you guys so much for watching. Look forward to more reviews very soon on this channel. Also, you can watch the Andrew Paul Show on Apple Music and Spotify and Anchor. Those will be links in the description below. I do wrestling reviews there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to y'all next time.